Hi guys, this is Mrs. Schultz coming at you. I am going to be talking to you about body paragraphs in your argumentative persuasive essay. We took a look at our examples. We numbered them 1 through 5. I'm working with number 1, zoos are good for animals. Last week we talked about what makes a good intro, and we were able to write in the margins a bit for this. And now what I'd like to do is take a look at how did they take the introductory paragraph and turn it into 3 body paragraphs. So I look here and it says, one reason why I think that zoos are good for animals is that they let scientists do research on animals without harming them. If we look at the third reason in the introductory paragraph, we see that the author of this particular essay listed that as a reason. So I'm going to highlight that. Okay, put research. Okay. So they took that claim and then they made it into a body paragraph, taking the reasoning from up there and bringing it to here. So they began by saying, one reason I think zoos are good for animals is that they let scientists do research on animals without hurting them. And that goes up there as far as learning about animals. So now we say, okay, well, there's the topic sentence of this paragraph. Now, how are they going to turn it into information that supports it? So let's read together and see what they did. So one reason why I think that zoos are good for animals is that they let scientists do research on animals without hurting them. For example, according to Zoos, the Historical Debate, in 2002, zoos participated in 2,230 research and conservation projects in more than 80 countries. So this would be a fact that they pulled from their reading. Okay. Fact that they pulled from their reading that is information that would support how great it is that the zoos are able to do research. And I like how they used that stem. For example, you would never know how difficult it is to hold a phone and do this. Things you learn as a teacher. Okay, let's read on. The information they gather helps them develop new medicines and techniques to improve health. So now they're showing how this fact supports this topic sentence, and now this is saying how it directly affects the animal. So that would be a separate fact to support it. So I'm going to do that in purple just so you can see the difference there. New medicines and techniques to improve health. So there's another fact. We're not working on opinions. I'm just going to move this if you don't mind. Okay. So we are not working with any opinions yet. We are only at facts. This shows that zoos care about the animals and their health and wants to always find a way to help them under the zoo's care. That is actually an example of pulling these two facts to form an opinion. So I'm just going to make that over here. I'm just going to write opinion. And I'm just going to shade over that because the writer of this particular essay is saying, well, that's what my takeaway is from those facts. Okay? All right. Oop. Right there. Another example, here we go. Another example is from the role of zoos. It states, posters and signs help explain construction problems. Contact with the animals promotes concern for their problems. Many zoos have educational departments that give school children information and firsthand experiences for not available in the classroom. Okay, so this is another example. I'm going to do it in pink here of what they do with information. This would be another fact to go back up and support what they were saying. Okay. Zoos also provide an opportunity. We're on the second page now. For scientists to study animals. Again, so many opportunities for research and helping animals. One more example, according to Zoos Pro or Con, and it states, in 2007, the AZA published the result of a 3-year study titled Why Zoos Matter. It showed that visiting an AZA-accredited zoo or aquarium makes a difference in the conservation attitudes of visitors. Aren't zoos wonderful? Okay, so here again, we have some more facts that support it. Okay. Now, personally, I would probably change that ending sentence and refer back to your claim. So instead of asking the reader, are zoos wonderful? I would kind of go back here and I would take a look. And they said one reason why I think that zoos are good for animals is that they let scientists do research on the animals without harming them. I think they also said here interesting facts that they can share with people. So maybe instead of just asking a simplistic question, we could end it with something along the lines of zoos allow for, maybe we could say powerful research that has a positive influence on both the animals and patrons. If you recall, we learned that word patrons when we were doing our study of zoos, and that would be people that go to the zoos, right? Okay, so that would be their first fact, or their first reason, I should say, that they took from their opening paragraph and made it into a body paragraph. If we go back to the front, excuse me from having to flip so much here, the second reason, and I just want to make sure I'm pinpointing the right one. Okay, the second reason that they gave, we labeled it number 2. Number 2 reason in their opening paragraph was that it prevents animals like penguins from poachers to natural disasters which could make them extinct. Okay, so I think that key word that we're going to see in the body paragraph is extinction. They're going to talk about extinction. All right. Notice they are only talking about what they introduced in their opening paragraph. You're not going to go off on some tangent and start listing things that were not up here. Let's see how this author did that. Okay. Another reason why zoos are good is that they prevent extinction. Okay, so this is the direct link to the one of the 3 reasons from the opening paragraph. According to Save the Arabian Oryx, in 1961, a group of British called the FPS launched Operation Oryx to save Arabian oryxes who were almost to extinction. Found some, and using those, made some, and later, when they were a lot of them, brought some to the Phoenix Zoo, so they will never be extinct again. Okay, so honestly, I have a few issues with the wording here, but let's not nitpick. Let's take a look at what they're doing. They are providing key details, so I'm going to get my marker here, and they're pulling evidence from accredited source. Okay. And this whole thing is about how they were able to save the Arabian oryxes. Okay, so this we're going to label as a fact. Okay, so this is factual information that they got about the Arabian oryx. All right. Let's see what that next sentence holds for us. It says, this showed that people put in hard work to save a species that had only a couple left and brought them back to loads of them. Okay, so this is the author's opinion, which will lead to support his claim, his or her claim, I should say. Gosh. Okay. Moving on. It says, after that, another example is from the Roll of Zoos. The rare Rothschild Minya has been successfully bred by zoos around the world and is now being reintroduced into its native habitat in the woodlands of Bali. Well, that's awesome because they're being returned to the wild. So that's another factual example. So we see another example is here. I love to hear that they went back to Bali. That's great. That's a fact. So we have that labeled as a fact. The last example is from Zoos Pro or Con. Many zoos work closely with individuals and organizations in the animal's native regions to establish wildlife refuges, which is something that we have certainly heard about. So last example, and I'm noticing that this particular author did about 3 examples to support each point, which I think is a very strong idea, okay? So we've got 3 examples of facts listed to support their idea that zoos prevent extinction. I would have liked to see a closing sentence here. So I wouldn't have just ended with the last example. I may go back up. It's always good to restate your claim or to restate your evidence to support your claim. So all through this, I might say something along the lines as, that is why zoos are so important. We need them to prevent the extinction of animals. Okay? The extinction of animals. Okay. So the last point that this particular author wanted to make in their introductory paragraph, they mentioned that zoos are a fantastic place for people to come. It's a good educational resource is what they were talking about. So if I go back to my opening introductory paragraph like you guys all worked on last week, I can take my little handy dandy highlighter and I can highlight people who come there. They come for knowledge, right? Okay. Although statistics do show, not to be a naysayer, but statistics show that people don't really read any of the information outside of a zoo exhibit, which is kind of sad when you think about it because you can learn so much. And knowledge is power, my friends. Okay, so we see here the last reason why zoos are fantastic is the last reason why zoos are fantastic to visit is because they provide a good education to people and scientists. So that went directly linked to the introductory paragraph, which said good education. Okay. So what we're going to be on the hunt for now is facts to support that. An example to back that up is from the role of zoos, and it was discovered that cheetahs would not breed if kept together all the time. So since people knew about it, the knowledge led to the birth of 100 cubs over 20 years at a zoo where none of them had been born. Wow, okay. So knowledge is power. So it was mentioned here. We have an example, and I like that they said that that backs it up, right? It's showing support to that. So I'm just going to do here, and this would be a fact as to why the knowledge led to helping the animal. Good. All right. Additionally, from Zoos Pro or Con, in a letter from Roy Chen, a retired teacher says, zoos give millions of people the chance to see and appreciate wildlife firsthand. Visitors leave with a greater understanding of the varieties of life on Earth as well as a sense of responsibility as stewards of the environment. Wow. Okay. Why I love this sentence? Let me show you why. I'm just going to... Here we go. A direct quote. A direct quote is a powerful way to support what your findings are. So each of you should be definitely putting a direct quote in, okay? Now, again, we see facts here. You see and appreciate wildlife firsthand, and visitors leave with a better understanding of the world, of the environment, right? And a sense of responsibility towards the environment. So there's another fact. And that quote just makes it even better, in my opinion. So now we know they're getting into their final fact because they actually say, finally, finally, which is a great transition word, finally, from zoos, the historical debate, it states that zoos teach people about the needs of animals and the importance of conservation. So we have our third fact. Can anyone guess what I'm going to say next? What's missing from this paragraph? Closure. I would like to wrap that up. I would like something to satisfy me as a reader that lets me know you're done with this particular paragraph. If the paragraph was mostly about why zoos are fantastic for educational purposes, I'd like to see that reiterated in the closure. So maybe we could say something along the lines of zoos are an excellent place to be educated about unique animals. I know all of my writers out there would have fancier ways of putting it, but it's just a way to kind of satisfy the reader and say, okay, it's over. We've created that. So this is just an example of how you can take your introductory paragraph and turn it into these pack in a punch body paragraphs. If you know that I am kind of anti-zoo unless it's a conservatory. So if you're pro-zoo, you want to have enough evidence that you're going to change my mind. You're going to make me say, I didn't see it that way, but now I do. So the facts that you pick out are really important, okay? So we want 3 facts in each paragraph that supports a reason, okay? I hope that this helps you. We will certainly reiterate this through the Google Hangout or the Zoom, whichever I choose to use. I wanted you to have this as a way for you to be able to analyze the text like I just did. At home, I only had a yellow highlighter. You know I love to use 50 million different colored highlighters, and I'm missing my highlighter bin at school. But I'm sure that Mr. Matt is taking good care of my highlighters at Brookside Play School, my home that I miss. So I hope you find this helpful, and I will see you on our next Hangout.